Good morning. It's about 10:40 on a Thursday morning. It's the 1st of August. And I'm sitting up here on top of Osborne. It's a great little road that cuts through the canyon in Angeles Crest Mountains. And at the peak elevation, you got a little parking lot in this little park where you got views on both sides of the mountain. Just went down the other side down into Antelope Valley, the 14 freeway, had breakfast at Denny's. Now I'm stopping here again before I go down into Sunland and get on the Pasadena freeway to the Ronald Reagan freeway to the 405 to Santa Monica to Westchester and home. Just a nice little bike ride involving breakfast. But along the way, I kind of started thinking about this video that Scooter Tramp Scotty talked about. And in that video, he espoused some of my beliefs, and that's that, we're here for a very short amount of time. Especially when you look at the amount of time the world has existed. So he said, if you were to build a house and that house were to stand for a long period of time, I don't remember how long he stipulated, but let's say, a young man builds a house in his 20s and he gives that house to his children, and then his grandchildren inhabit the house and they die in the house. So basically it's gone on for 3 generations. If you time lapse from the moment the earth began until present day, a video, and it was filming nonstop all that time, and then you crunch that into a 24-hour time period, that house that existed over 3 generations would not be visible in that time-lapsed video. It'd be such a short amount of time that you would never see the house. It'd be maybe a blink of an eye, so not long enough to see it. And I mean, that's almost as long as the remembrance of who we are lasts, because after you die, there's probably only about 3 generations that are even going to speak your name in your descendants, your relatives, before you're kind of just forgotten about. So not only are we here a short amount of time, even our legacy is very temperamental. I'm very short-lived, temporary. Unless you're an extremely famous person, then you might be talked about for a couple thousand years or something. But so it's interesting to keep that in mind. And we're just passing through was what he was having to say. And because of that way of thinking, he decided, I'm not going to try to get in this rat race. I'm not going to try to own as many toys as I can. I'm just going to try to enjoy the ride. If we're here such a short amount of time, why not just not try to accumulate all these possessions, which get old quickly, rust, get dilapidated, fall apart, and just kind of own very few things that I can appreciate while I own them, and that make this passage through this short amount of time we have here on Earth that much more enjoyable. So that's what he looks upon his motorcycle as. It brings him great value and great joy, even though he knows it's getting dilapidated, it's acquiring rust, and it's temporary. I think it's the Hindus that say anything nice and new you get, look upon it as already old and dilapidated and beat up, because that's how it's going to be shortly, quicker than you think. And so to just accept even the nicest, prettiest, newest things we own as being dilapidated, old, and beat up, because that's how they're going to be eventually, lightens your spirit and frees you. The American Indian didn't believe in land ownership because we're just passing through. The earth is here when we get here. The earth is going to be long here after we leave. And so how can you even think that we can own this plot of land? I mean, so many times, think about it, people have had land ownership, and some different country takes over, or some different faction of people take over, and that little document somewhere that says this land is yours is thrown in the trash, and basically they don't own their land anymore, right? So even owning land is speculative. There's people that can throw that document away, and so yeah, we have courts, we have laws, and you can go fight that, but it's just it's a different way of looking at things, and I like that way of looking at it. So, like Scooter Tramp Scotty says about his motorcycle and my motorcycle, it's just something that for the moment helps my passage through this time I have here on earth, and however you want to get pleasure from it. To me, I like to think of my motorcycle as a bit of a therapist, because when I'm on it, I'm grounded in the moment, and that in of itself is therapeutic. I'm thinking about the scenery, but mainly when to shift, downshift, when to upshift, how much to lean on this churn, what's that guy in front of me doing, keeping an eye on everything in my rearview mirror. And that's just what, after an hour or two ride, when I get home, I'm feeling much more at peace, because I haven't been having that typical conversation that's going on in my head nonstop. And I got a nice 1 hour, 2 hour break where really all I noticed was the sunshine, the trees, and what should I be doing in this second, in this particular moment, so far as shifting and my speed, and what's that idiot doing behind me, why is he coming up so quick, and just always thinking defensively. And that's where I benefit from my motorcycle. The sound of it, the look of it, all that helps too. But that's the stuff that you can't get bogged down in, because the paint's gonna fade, the exhaust pipes are gonna lose their tone eventually and need to be replaced. But I think I'd like to have this bike till the day I die, and just keep taking good care of it the best I can, not knowing full well that it's gonna constantly break down, have issues as it gets older. But you learn the personality of your vehicle, and you learn the ins and outs, and you start to kind of almost love its temperamentalness, because it's kind of like a relationship with a person. You might have a mother, a father, a son, a daughter that has eccentricities that might be difficult to deal with at times, but you love the whole person, and you start to love even those eccentricities, or those little deviances that make the person who they are. And once you learn how to compensate for them, and deal with those personality quirks or whatnot, that's part of the person you love. And same with an old vehicle. So just philosophizing a little bit on this beautiful Thursday morning, and trying to get people to maybe think about things a little bit differently. I'm so glad I'm not caught up in the competition of owning a house and trying to keep up with the Joneses next door. And because there's always going to be new flavors coming out, new furniture that's the trendy stuff, and you're going to want those, especially if you got a wife that is high society. gotta go with the flow and keep getting the new shit. Excuse my language, but I'm not in that, and it's kind of nice not to be. But I want to keep my motorcycle updated. So anyways, enjoy the day.